Every time Trump gets closer to the truth, the same people who swear they care about transparency start panicking. It's funny to me how the mask always slips when he has the flashlight. You guys gotta check this video out.
And my source tonight is the Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. And thank you, sir, for being here. Obviously, a lot of movement up on Capitol Hill today. And you heard Stacey Plaskett there. She was arguing her texts with Jeffrey Epstein were not illegal. But in your view, were they appropriate?
Well, Stacey Plaskett is not accused of violating any House rule, any law, any statute, and she's clearly and unequivocally denounced Jeffrey Epstein. And I think what the survivors fought for today is the type of transparency that came out of the House, went through the Senate, and is now on its way to Donald Trump's desk, where hopefully he'll sign it into law, because at the end of the day, all the American people are asking for is just the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, which is why these Epstein files that Donald Trump and his administration has been hiding for months need to be released.
But do you think it was?
The thing that makes no sense to me is everybody believes the truth sets you free, but these people have been hiding it for years. It's weird how for years and years and years, Obama's been president. Obama has email with this guy. Hakeem has emails with this guy. But once Trump gets president, all of a sudden it's such a big deal. But just last week, you guys were worried about the millions and millions of Americans that were starving, supposedly. Telling you guys, man, these Democrats, they distract you every time.
Was appropriate for her to be texting with Jeffrey Epstein 11 years after he pleaded guilty?
I mean, I have not had a conversation with Stacey Plaskett to discuss this issue because we've been focused today on making sure that there was a decisive vote as it related to the Epstein files and the release. I'm thankful for the work of Representative Massey, of Ro Khanna, but most importantly, the survivors.
Do you plan to talk to her about it?
I think that we successfully defeated a resolution that lacked any basis, was not credible, and was being brought by an individual who was trying to weaponize this issue to reinvigorate his own failed gubernatorial campaign in South Carolina. It was rejected on a bipartisan basis on the floor today. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, I was just asking if you personally believe messaging with Jeffrey Epstein, who is at that point a registered sex offender, is appropriate for a member of the House Democratic Caucus.
He's going to keep answering the same exact way. Of course he hasn't talked about it. Why would he talk about a scandal? They never talk about scandals. Only thing they talk about is the spin. Let me ask you, if your colleague texts a registered sex offender 11 years after his conviction, would you avoid that conversation too? Be honest. Let's keep going, guys.
That's the third time you've asked me this question, and I'm going to give you the same exact answer. Our focus today is on making sure that the Jeffrey Epstein files were released. If you want to have a conversation with Stacey Plaskett about it, I'm sure she'd be willing to talk to you. It was an illegitimate effort to try to remove her from the House Committee on Intelligence, and that was defeated in a bipartisan way.
Well, let me ask you about you, because the White House has been highlighting an email that I'm sure you've seen today that Jeffrey Epstein got in 2013. They say it shows you were soliciting money and dinner from an Epstein. The email was not sent from you. It was sent from a political consulting firm called Dynamic SRG that says, "We are thrilled to announce we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. Shoot us an email or give us a call if you would like to get involved." What's your response? Do you recall that email being sent to Jeffrey Epstein from that team?
Yeah, of course, I have no recollection of the email. I've never had a conversation with him, never met him, know nothing about him other than the extreme things that he's been convicted of doing. And that's why, I'm just strongly supportive of the effort, backing the survivors to make sure that everything can come out, whatever is in those Department of Justice files.
So you never got a donation from Jeffrey Epstein or anything like that?
Certainly not.
And just on this passing today, to this point, I mean, this is something that even Ro Khanna told me just a few moments ago, he never even thought it would get to this point today. I wonder what it says to you that the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, fought this so much and had a concern over, he was saying this discharge petition would create new victims, as he argued, because it was requiring the DOJ to release information where maybe the FBI hadn't reviewed it and determined it's not credible. I wonder what you made of how this culminated tonight.
Well, I think it was a decisive bipartisan vote that, I think clearly, despite all of the efforts, 7 weeks of Republicans being on a paid vacation and refusing to swear in Representative Adelita Grijalva. Why was that done? Because they didn't want her to become the 218th signature on the discharge petition that ultimately resulted in the vote today. And so I don't think the Speaker has any credibility as it relates to this issue, but I'm thankful for the outcome today, thankful for the decisive vote in the Senate, and now it's on its way to President Trump's desk.
And the Plaskett censure did not pass. There was a resolution rebuking Congressman Chuy Garcia. He had timed the announcement of his retirement shortly after the state's filing deadline, and that was after his chief of staff had declared her own candidacy for that position, basically leaving her as the only Democrat able to run for that seat. There are 23 Democrats who joined Republicans on the disapproval resolution. You urged members to oppose it. How come?
I think that it's an issue to be worked out by the people back in the great state of Illinois. Chuy Garcia has been a consistent progressive champion for the disenfranchised, a voice for the voiceless. He's done a lot of good. And I think that it was a resolution of disapproval that I did not support, that there are a lot of issues, I think, of importance to the American people, including the failed Trump economy, the Trump tariffs that are crushing people, the Republican health care crisis, the refusal by my Republican colleagues to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, the fact that that is going to result in tens of millions of people experiencing dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles. People are going to be unable to go and afford to see a doctor when they need one. There are a whole host of issues that the American people just made clear 2 weeks ago during the general election that they want to see addressed. It's the reason why Republicans were decisively defeated across the country and up and down the ballot, and yet we continue to come to the floor of the House of Representatives and they play partisan political games as opposed to dealing with the issues that matter relative to driving down the high cost of living and making life better for the American people.
Failed? The only economy that's ever failed is the one after a Democrat touched it. I think that's an undeniable fact. What exactly was failing when gas was cheap, groceries were affordable, and Americans were actually winning? Come on, I'll wait. I'll end this video out saying you only could dodge questions so long before the truth catches up. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and as always, let me know what you react to. We're out.